JMR Draws, formerly known as Emperor Extreme, is a degenerate asshat that only cares about his own ego and his art. This is a man who gets more heated over what he thinks was me copying his persona, that was just a basic robot design by the way, than literally being called out for grooming and abusing minors. He also has some weird fetish for robot slavery and hypnosis. I don't know, but that's besides the point. Also, Emperor, if I copied your persona, it would look like this. Hope you make this your profile picture. I'd be really happy. Give me $20. We still have no idea why he was allowed back into Xplodin Apple's server. Our leading theory is that since several of the mods are his friends, they're in on it and wiggled him back in and have kept him from getting banned. Even though most of the users that aren't in that circle jerk seem pretty annoyed at him and make fun of him. Maybe read the fucking room sometime. Now, before we dive into nitty gritty of why we are making this video, let me explain something. Last year, Merc was contacted by Tomcat, the grooming victim of JMR. We were all aware of the grooming and we were going to make a video about it a while ago, but a former member of our group seemed to be uncomfortable with wasting our time with this, as he said, and convinced us to back out. He also deleted half of our evidence. Thanks a lot, man. Damien, our friend and one of the partners in this video, has told someone we trusted would handle it, that being Boss Hunt. We expect him to do the right thing and kick JMR out of a server that's full of minors, but obviously he didn't. An anonymous friend, Sushimi's used to be in this server. She recognized a user from another server that has been talking with JMR Bank and a few others. We will be referring to this user as the minor in order to protect her identity. She was concerned since this person was a minor and still is, so she contacted us. We sent the screenshots of Tomcat's grooming. This minor recognized how horrible this was and stopped conversing with them. This minor recently went back onto their Discord and saw weird and disturbing conversations JMR was having. They had enough and went to Jack or Xplodin Apple to try and get JMR kicked. You will see more of this later in the video, but this isn't the first time that he's been made aware of grooming. Either way, Jack has still not done anything about JMR, hence this why this video is being made. Both adults and minors are in danger with JMR in the server. To us, we fear that Jack is well aware of this and just doesn't care. We hope this video proves us wrong, and when he sees this video, he takes action. The title of this video is Xplodin Apple has a predator in his Discord server and doesn't care. If we're notified he has done something, we will change the title.
Hi, I'm Sushimi Slimes. I'm McMamie's girlfriend and was briefly in his old server with these little freaks. My second is going to be pretty long since I covered the bulk of Tomcat's grooming. Toxic is by far one of the weirdest individuals I've seen in this group. He made me cringe so hard that if he came into voice chat in my short time on that server, I just fake being AFK. He isn't particularly interesting, beyond being a basic edgy 4chaner that thinks communism is the funniest topic of all time. He also is a certified white boy that has said the N-word and other slurs freely, which prompted Emperor and Bink to also say these slurs and the N-word around him in Xbox calls. Xbox calls are just the land of the free, I guess. His only sadly funny thing about him is he hates women enough to have once said he is only dating men. On top of the blatant sexism, he also believes women can only date men, but men can date other men, because men are superior in some shit. Speaking of only dating men, us and a few others think Toxic is in love with Emperor or has some sort of infatuation, which may or not be important in this topic, but I think it's pretty funny. Weirdness aside, Toxic used to date the victim, Tomcat, when they were younger. The relationship between them was extremely toxic, pun not intended, and abusive. Toxic has always been an annoying and belligerent piece of shit and was the aggressor. One time from my memory, just adding Tomcat in general chat of McMamie's old server and going off on her for no good reason. I don't even think they were dating at this time. Digging aside, he convinced Tomcat to date Emperor, stating that he had liked her for a long time and was just waiting for her to be of age. It's extremely predatory, since Emperor and Tomcat have a 4-year age gap in the first place, meaning Emperor reached sexual maturity and mental maturity way before Tomcat did. There was a huge power imbalance between them, which I will discuss further in the next topic, which is on Emperor himself. The main reasoning for bringing this up is that this relationship never would have happened without Toxic's input and manipulation. He later DM'd Tomcat, telling her he fucked up and that this was wrong. He claimed that he was high and made a mistake, which no shit Sherlock, you did. He then tried to frame it that Emperor and Tomcat were going to be in trouble, which is insane because she is the victim and underage at the time. This obviously was a manipulation attempt to keep Tomcat quiet and not an actual fact. No sane person would blame Tomcat for this if they found out a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old dated, but I digress. He ended up relenting that Emperor most likely would be in the most trouble, which is the only thing I can agree on because Emperor is the pedophile in this situation and justifiably should be in trouble. Also on a side note, it is not surprising to me that Emperor had to get Toxic to groom Tomcat for him. If you know Emperor, you know he's an incompetent sack of shit and can't do anything right in his life. He has been shown on stream just pouting as his poor sweet grandma cleaned his room for him. Now that Toxic had expressed his discomfort, they all decided that Emperor and Tomcat would quote be on a break after a conversation Tomcat and Emperor had, which you will see in the next part. After some time, Tomcat had come to Toxic to admit something. She was dating someone and had serious plans to move on from Emperor. She also told him she had very confusing feelings and couldn't decipher what she wanted, but didn't want to wait for Emperor. This enraged Toxic, causing him to go off on her because she didn't save herself for his precious Emperor. Toxic saw this as a huge betrayal, which is crazy because the biggest betrayal here is their abuse of Tomcat's trust and blatant grooming. Tomcat moving on from Emperor and not waiting for him led to them going off on her very dramatically like they were the victims. We are not going to be adding this crash out to the video, it would make this longer than it already is, but it will be in the doc in the description. These DMs were extremely heartbreaking to read, and are especially awful with the context. These are two fully grown dudes ganging up on a mentally unwell, freshly 17-year-old girl. They ostracized her from the group and ended up kicking her altogether. This is what led to her telling people, getting differing reactions. You'll hear more about this later, but to no surprise, nobody in that group truly was on her side and fought for her. I wish I didn't have to say how wrong it is for a 21-year-old to date a 17-year-old girl, but here I am. Emperor and Tomcat were friends for over 10 years. They had met on Xbox, and Tomcat remarked the early days were great with him, and she admitted she started to develop somewhat of a crush on him. I have to emphasize that just because she began to idolize and admire him does not mean Emperor should have dated her nor form feelings for her. It is in his duty as the adult to ignore and stop any attraction she showed to him, to not form any feelings for a fucking teenager. I know to some people, her being 17 is no big deal since in a year she'll be 18, but I want to clarify she was newly 17 when this happened, and this grooming had probably begun years prior. Like Toxic had said before, Emperor had liked her for some time. This means this crush that Emperor had for Tomcat could have been going for years. For example, when Tomcat was 13, Emperor was 17, the same age she was when they started dating. When Emperor started dating Tomcat, he could legally drink where he resides in the US. At the time of dating, Tomcat couldn't even vote or apply for a lot of adult documentation. At 17, she was still reliant on her parents and was still in high school, while he had already started college and was legally an adult for over 3 years. Tomcat was a sophomore during this time. She was held back in kindergarten, while Emperor was in his second or third year of college. This alone should put into focus how different their maturity and age range was when this relationship happened and how disturbing and gross it was. Emperor was the adult in this situation and did not get tricked, abused, or hurt in this relationship. I swear this man acts like Yandere Dev. That aside, let's get into the proof this relationship happened and how he manipulated the situation. I'll be following the screenshots more closely in this part of the script and guide you in them. All screenshots in this are important and will be listed in order in the description. There are 2 docs, one for the script of this video and one of the pictures, so make sure you have the right one and are under Emperor Grooming Tomcat. Of course, they are seen on screen, but if you want a more in-depth look at them and read them at your own pace or take them to share with people, be my guest. The first screenshot shows Emperor talking to Tomcat after we assume Toxic panicked to him that this whole relationship was wrong. I will now read the screenshot. I know our relationship is asexual and all that, but even if it is, should people find out about it, they are going to take it the wrong way, no matter how much we explain ourselves. Both you and me would be ostracized and berated for this because of your age. I was considering the idea of temporarily breaking up and then getting back with you a year from now, but I really don't want to do that because I don't want to break your heart, so you and me are going to have to make a tough decision here. We should temporarily break up and wait it out, which means we can talk in voice chats with other people together without having to worry much, or we should stay together, but not be in the same voice chats with other people. The choice is on you since I'm fine with either or, but if you choose to break up for now, know that I will still care for you and we will always get back together later in life. I'm not trying to hurt you or break your heart. I'm giving you this choice because I care for you and don't want you to be hurt any more than you already have. Please let me know what choice you make. First of all, a relationship being asexual does not excuse the relationship being with a minor. The asexual community is not responsible for you dating a minor and is absolutely disgusting. You think this could possibly excuse this. For the record and off note, we believe Emperor and Bink say they are asexual to excuse their gooning and attraction to children, but I digress. Secondly, it is insane to suggest a relationship with a child can be taken the wrong way. It is even more insane to also suggest that people would ostracize the child that got groomed. in the same way they would ostracize the adult that groomed them. This is obviously just a fear-mongering tactic he was using to try and make Tomcat not say anything. If you actually think like this, castrate yourself. The last part of this screenshot is important in the fact that he is trying to suggest either they break up or they stay together and wait to go public when she's 18. On one condition: she isolates herself from the group. This is a common tactic for groomers to use, as it isolates their victims socially and in turn makes them dependent on the groomer for socialization and acknowledgement, something teenagers specifically seek out. This, combined with the fact that Emperor directly went for Tomcat because she was undermined by his friend group, paints a sinister picture towards its intent in approaching her in the first place. I'm going to read screenshot 14 in this section because it directly ties to screenshot 13. This happened after the call they had and is just restating he wants this to be her choice, which is crazy since she was the fucking minor you groomed. And let this be clear once again: I still intend to be with you after the time. I just need you to choose whether you want to wait it out and talk with me and the others in voice chats, or give that up to stay with me during this time. No matter what you choose, we will stay together after the time passes. All I need to know is, out of the two, which would you prefer? And Tomcat says, what do you want to do? She ends up choosing to not continue the relationship so she won't be isolated from the friend group, most likely to his displeasure. The next screenshots are after a lot of drama goes down. I will not read anything but the red circle to give us time, but I do want to point out that he calls the friend group my friends, which is extremely isolating and ties into trying to isolate her and make her feel alone. Now I will read the DM that is circled in red. Yeah, they caught on quick, but Toxic isn't at fault here, neither is anyone. I know you're hurt because of it, but I didn't break up because I was told to or because I wanted to. I did it because I had to in order to keep you safe. I wanted to stay, I really did, even now. It's so hard for me to fully bury my feelings for you, but I had to cut ties because if people found out, you would be in trouble, and I didn't want that. Truthfully, I don't care about what people think about me, but I do care about what people think of you. I always have. In the screenshot, he clearly states he wants to continue this relationship with the 17-year-old, despite knowing it's wrong and at this point knowing he has to end it. He also admits he is having a hard time bearing his feelings for her. The next part I cannot stress enough is crazy. He basically says she will get in trouble, not him, her. This is outrageous and shows how much of a manipulator he is and how dangerous he is. He states he only cares about what people think about her and not him. Aw, how sweet. Not very fucking factual though, as he will do anything to set the record straight in Xplodin's server if anyone dares to say they don't like him. The next two screenshots I'm not going to read out, but it will be on screen. The circled part of the screenshot is him trying to convince her to keep quiet for a little longer and promises her a friend group and acceptance. This is clearly him trying to buy himself time and hold a friend group over her head. A friend group she so desperately wanted to have and be accepted by. Shame on you and everyone in that group. You are all truly awful for turning her away and making her feel crazy. You're all truly vile, and I hope you look in the mirror and recognize how hideous your actions are. Valid emotions aside, I have to mention again that there are DMs after this when Toxic found out Tomcat had dated again. One in which he fucking quotes Jar of Hearts. I will not be reading them, as my head will explode and I will kill myself in the misery and horror of two grown-ass men who don't wash their asses berating a teenager. They're both absolute fucking lunatics and always see themselves as the victims. Do you know how fucking pathetic you have to be to accuse a freshly 17-year-old girl of manipulating you? You're both grown fucking men. Wah, wah, wah. Pull up your soiled diapers and fucking grow a pair. Anyways, these DMs are in the doc and maybe on screen. They show him trying one last ditch effort to guilt trip her into staying complacent, and this is where he seems to panic and realize he can't manipulate his way out of this one. Emperor, you're a grown-ass man. I hope when your head hits your pillow at night, you cry like the pathetic, self-absorbed nepo baby you are. Also, I heard your art college time went horribly. Ha ha ha, almost like you can't draw without copying someone.
Hey, it's me, Merc. I knew these gooners and groomers since I was 12, and I'll be reading this section. As said previously, I, Merc, was contacted by Tomcat and was told about JMR grooming her, but we weren't the only ones that were told. Tomcat also informed the Boss Hunt King, Asterix John, and Snowy Impa about her grooming. Boss Hunt will be covered in the next section, but here we'll cover John and Impa. Asterix John is one of Emperor's and Tomcat's oldest friends, knowing each other for around 10 years. He refers to himself as a certified comedian and artist, despite having no original material for both. Tomcat felt as though she could trust John, so when she finally informed him of Emperor grooming her, it was shocking to her that he was suspicious of the truth. stating he wanted Toxic and Ember's input like it was up to a debate. In the end, he chose to take JMR's side and cease further contact with Tomcat. Moving on to Snowy Impa, a moderator and artist for the Xplodin Hangout. Impa was notified the same as John, and proceeded to blame Tomcat, the victim, saying that Toxic, the man that was high when he convinced them to date, was not to be blamed and pointed fingers at, and that he's taking accountability. He did not. She refused to see how Ember and Toxic hurt Tomcat and accused her of bias. But this wasn't the first time Impa was told. She was actually informed by Toxic during the grooming, and yet she refused to do anything about it, simply being a bystander. Impa is also seen protecting Emperor and is one of the other moderators that ushered him into the Xplodin Hangout and advocated for his return to the server. This is incredibly surprising to me, because I remember her venting in channels about being a sexual assault survivor and advocating for the rights of sexual assault survivors. In the server, she was often seen as a motherly figure and someone you could go to if you ever had a problem. She was seen as trustworthy and unbiased. Clearly, this is false, and she is just a manipulative tool for Emperor to use, like in this case.
Hey, I'm Damien, or Hontrix if you want someone new to stalk, and I'm better than any of you can ever pretend to be. Anyways, the Boss Hunt King, or Aiden, as I will refer to him as, current moderator for the Xplodin Apple Discord server, Normandy Beach survivor, and an artist of specialized talent. Despite doing everything in his power to seem responsible, caring, and somewhat competent, in reality, he's easily one of the saddest little men I have ever met. When he isn't gooning the fictional women of questionable age on Twitter, he's in his own C-197 having joke-offs with his beloved Queen Stacy. He knows JMR so well, even meeting in real life, and it's tragic that neither of them have let each other into their personal harems. I think they should just kiss already. After hearing about what JMR did to this kid, I personally reached out to Aiden myself, hoping that he would do something about the situation. Clearly, his charming, professional, college-level intellect was a ruse, because this fucking guy just left me on red. He could have done like 15 different things to actually resolve this situation, namely removing the fucking groomer from the server full of kids, instead of doing something intelligent. Aiden's only course of action was to leave a server owned by Emperor and presumably go zap to the extreme with his evil twin or whatever the fuck. For whatever reason, probably out of some form of guilt, he then proceeded to reach out to Tomcat, the victim, multiple times. He offered the lowest form of concern and then promptly wiped his hands of it. Guess if it doesn't involve his direct interest, he doesn't give a shit. As of now, Aiden and Emperor are still close friends, and Aiden blindly white knights for him, presumably bound by some pact sealed by the premature jizz JMR leaked when a 14-year-old called him Edgar Allan Poe. Oh, and one more thing. Are you, like, proud of yourself when you retweet this shit? You're not private. Everyone can see the softcore porn you milk to, including your child audience.
Hey, it's Merc, I'm back. Like said in the beginning, Jack has been notified twice of this grooming. Even with being notified twice, he has not done anything about this, nor has seemed to show any concern or care about it. We are not sure if it's because his mod team is convincing him not to, or if he just truly doesn't care. But this is extremely problematic given his channel garners more views that are minors. This is not the first time a problem with a minor was swept under the rug. In 2023, a 14-year-old user got into some sort of spat with JMR and called him Edgar Allan Poe, which in my opinion he looks nothing like. This prompted JMR to tell him to kill himself and hurl insults at him. When that wasn't proving effective, he then suicide baited and left the server, blocking everyone and going totally MIA for about a week, if not more. A lot of people thought he was dead, but it turned out he had just put himself offline and was still playing his Xbox. He has done this many times before in McMeme's server, and this specific event led to an agreement that JMR was to be kicked out because people were done with this eccentric attention-whoring behavior. This seems to also be the case in the Xplodin server, as people agreed he had gone too far. Now JMR has gone to aggressively insisting people shouldn't bring up his past, since he has changed, yet has shown no sign of change, and his aggressive behavior of demanding people to forgive him and move on is legit exactly what he has always done. Fuck is you talking about? It's good, Ash. You're just mad you got clapped by Peter Nan, started crying on stream. I don't want to hear it, Edgar Allan Poe.
Seriously? Personal attacks now? You want to take this to DMs, you actual child?
No, I just said he looked like Edgar Allan Poe, which I didn't realize was a bad. But my mistake. Poet.
Dude decided to gloss over everything else he did, LMAO. Dude was responding to all my comments with shit from a clip of me raging from ages ago, even when I didn't ever mention him.
My bad, Extreme. Didn't know you would be this upset.
Jump off a bridge.
Is Edgar that ugly?
It's harassment. I don't care what you think.
You told me to kill myself like twice.
You want to know what you could have done to avoid that?
I mean, I don't really care. It's just, ain't that harassment too?
None of this had to happen if you just shut the fuck up. I'm returning the favor.
Nah, I said you look like a poet. You told me to kill myself.
You wanted to start shit with me. All I'm doing is responding.
I didn't tell you to kill yourself, cuz. It's not that deep, fella.
I don't think you've realized this, kid. I take shit from no one.
So you told me to kill myself. That's a perfect way to handle it, you mature adult.
Don't you dare bring up that swine.
Bro, I don't care what I said, cuz I said you looked like someone. You told me to kill myself. You're 35, I'm 14. Ain't nobody bullying yo, cuh.
I'm 20.
This is when Emperor left the server and blocked everyone after saying he is going to end it all.
Hey, it's me, McMeme again, and I'm narrating this part. Bet you thought I was just gonna do the intro, huh? Think again. Bitch. Anyways, Emperor was someone I've known since I was around 13 to 14. Being the selfish shitbag that he is, he would often use me for art, asking me to draw his characters for him so often to the point it became overwhelming. He was not the only one who did this to me, by the way, but he was one of the main offenders. I'm talking about lists upon lists of shit he wanted me to draw. Over time, things escalated, and his requests became more and more suggestive. Being a kid at the time and easily influenced, I was taught to think that these requests were totally normal. Him and the rest of the group would persuade me to make my characters thicker and more revealing. His requests soon became more and more sexual in nature until he was demanding I make straight up NSFW, which he failed to make me do. Bank Boy Boo, who we will get to later in the next section, also made very similar demands towards me. Together, these two would play off these requests as jokes whenever I became uncomfortable about it. They also created an entire channel in my Discord server dedicated to a random art prompt generator that was made by JMR, and it was full of extremely explicit prompts that they would try to encourage me to draw them. My girlfriend had heard something in a voice chat with Bink about me wanting to draw an SFW at some point, so I'm going to let her explain this next part.
Hi, back to me. I was alone in a voice chat with Bink some random night. I don't remember too much of the voice chat, but I do remember some of it because I was shocked it was even said to me. I have no screenshots since this was a voice chat, so take it with a grain of salt, but I am extremely confident in what I heard. Bink commented that McMahon was turning 18 soon. He said that he and Emperor were excited about this because it meant he could start drawing not safe for work. I asked him something to egg him on to tell me why, not because I was excited for him, but because what the fuck was he even saying to me? He told me he and Emperor were starting to draw more sexually suggestive artwork in preparation for him turning 18. This to me shows that Emperor and Bink were conversing about McMimi turning 18 and the possibility of getting Gooner art drawings out of him. He asked if I had seen the recent artwork Emperor had made, which I sadly had. It was a drawing of his self-insert persona character, whatever the fuck, named Robert on the couch with his token girlfriend character, and that, of course, had huge tits. The most notable thing about this drawing is that his OC was grabbing a girl's breast and was obviously drawn with one hand. He was trying to be sexy and make it a drawing one can beat their meat to, but failed horribly because his art is akin to what I would draw when I was 12 and still making my FNAF fan comic. And the legs were totally fucked up and badly drawn, but that's besides the point. That's all I have to say about that call. Back to McMamie.
Now, being the attention whore that he is, Emperor's favorite pastime was suicide baiting people at any minor inconvenience. He would frequently rage while playing games, claim he's going to take his own life, and then leave the call, causing minor panic. However, some episodes were worse than others. I also want to mention he did this most frequently when I was younger and still in high school. It felt like every other week, and I lost sleep over it because I genuinely thought someone just fucking killed themselves. Thanks a lot. The last episode he did before he got kicked out of my old server was the Edgar Allan Poe incident that happened on Jack's server, where he blocked everyone except the few people he didn't care about and then left his server. We legit thought he was dead for a few days before we saw the hours on his Xbox games going up. This motherfucker straight up set all of his accounts to invisible and then acted like he was dead for a week over a situation that didn't even happen on my server. We took this as an opportunity to just kick him. Toxic was at first very hateful about Emperor and insisted on taking all of his stories and OCs, which my girlfriend and I said he shouldn't do. Toxic then ended up talking to Emperor again and got caught by some random dude I can't remember. Either way, Toxic was kicked from the server because I didn't want any more of this dumb fucking Discord drama in my life anymore. After a while, someone also really unimportant named Newt and also Bink invited Toxic back and he started pinging me over and over just to get his roles back. Why do you care about Discord roles that much? At this point, I already decided that I was done with the whole group and just wanted to leave with a few friends, so I deleted the whole server. Now, I know a lot of them are still super salty that I deleted that server, but now I'm mad I deleted it because it had so much evidence of them grooming me into drawing sexual shit and just being gross ass freaks. If anything, they should thank me for deleting that because this part would have been much, much worse. Add confetti. To this day, Emperor still continues to harass me despite him being out of my life for years. Seriously, dude, how are you that petty? He tried contacting me sometime after he was cut off. By the way, he did this through Xbox with his sister's account, which he confirmed to send messages with my girlfriend later. He also stalks me and all of my new friend group stories and just pussies out if we confront him or fuck with him in any way. Hey, speaking of stalking, Emperor, because I know you're watching this, you love accidentally following me and my girlfriend. Are you doing that on purpose, or are your hands shaking so hard looking at our accounts that your finger slips? I genuinely just want to know.
Hi, I'm Cherry, Merc's girlfriend, and I will be discussing 2 more predators that Emperor enabled and allowed to be around children. Bink Boy Boo, also known as General Glories, is essentially JMR's lackey. While he may look like an Amish freak, he's unfortunately just ginger. Still a freak, though. Like the rest of this group, he is also a groomer and far beyond selfish. He would refer to himself as an artist, but would only create characters for the sole purpose of having McMimi or other people draw them, going to excessive lengths just to have his characters drawn by an artist with actual talent. He thrives off of meat riding the people around him, and is currently doing his best to earn his Discord mod privileges in Xplodin server. After all, you can't be a good Discord mod without grooming a few kids first. McMimi and Merc have known Bink for quite some time. They were around the ages of 14 and 12 respectively, with Bink nearing adulthood when they initially met. It is unclear when the grooming began, however things escalated when McMimi was around 16, with Bink being an adult at this point in time. He began to slowly send the 2 minors explicit images and artwork of characters. The pictures got progressively worse and worse over time, with some of them being so bad that we have to censor them here on YouTube. However, if you wish to see the full images, they will be linked in a document in the description below, but be warned, they are graphic. Bink would also send images of mannequins in lingerie or other sexually explicit outfits, asking McMimi, who is still a minor, to draw his characters wearing said outfits, a behavior he has never truly grown out of, as a few years later, he privately asked Sushimi Slimes to draw his 12-year-old character in an extremely revealing outfit. While Sushimi was an adult at the time, the character he wanted to be drawn explicitly was barely even a preteen. He backed off after receiving backlash for his request. On the topic of grooming, Bink requested the user Lego to draw a picture of his ugly ass OC with her big fat red ogre titties. When Sushibi confronted him on his age, Lego claimed he was 18. We later learned that he lied and he was actually only 17, which shows clear signs he knew what he was doing was wrong and was covering for a then 20-year-old. Bink definitely knew his age since they were in the closer circle of friends and just did not care. Here are some screenshots showing Lego's age at the time of the drawing. We can clearly see he turned 18 August of 2024, while the drawing was made in either late 2023 or early 2024. With Bink being so close to JMR, he was aware of this behavior yet enabled and allowed Bink to continue doing this. He encouraged his actions and allowed him to groom 2 minors and send them sexually explicit content. Bink's actions and sexual nature were no secret, and JMR did absolutely nothing to protect these kids, most likely because he was also a groomer. This effectively allowed the grooming to come from multiple angles, as everyone JMR surrounded himself with could not keep their filthy hands away from children. Game Style, or Game for short, was another predator that was allowed near this group of children. This disgusting scum-of-the-earth pedophile has a special place in hell waiting for him, and I genuinely mean it when I say I hope you rot, you vile excuse for a human. While he does not play a huge role in this story, he is worth mentioning due to the fact he was yet another groomer allowed into the group and enabled by JMR. He was already into his adult years when he joined the group, while McMimi and Merc were barely teenagers. While being 20 and hanging around a group of teenagers is already outrageous, the type of content he had on his phone was far more damning. He would constantly speak of the copious amounts of lolicon art he had on his devices, almost in a bragging manner. He had so many images and videos saved to the point where it apparently slowed his phone down. This nonce would also distribute these images to minors in a server, brushing it off as, they aren't real children, they're just drawings, so it's okay. He would also DM these images to McMimi and Merc frequently. Who knows what else he sent to other people. We will be keeping the screenshots minimal in this part due to the fact that they are so fucking disgusting we don't even want to share them. He also spoke about Jazz, a 6-year-old child in the game Stardew Valley, in a sexually suggestive way and seemed fond of the child character. He went as far as making Merc write down her gift likes and dislikes, much to his dismay. When McMamie grew a little older, he took it upon himself to remove Game from the group. However, once McMamie left the group himself, JMR's first action was to invite Game back, claiming that he was wrongfully removed even though he is a literal pedophile. Ironic, because a few years back, Emperor himself called him a pedophile. Guess it's suddenly okay now since he's also joined the pedo gang. Great minds think alike. The group still had other minors in it at this point, and JMR just exposed them to a known sick pervert who gets off at the thought of children. JMR did not care about the minors he just put in danger. He was so spite-driven that trying to get back at McMamie was his only concern and still is.
Unfortunately, Xplodin Apple's Discord server has an entire group of internet gooners who can't seem to stay away from children. They have been grooming and targeting young people in their group since the very beginning. This group has never been held accountable for any of their disgusting, perverted actions and still continue to get away with it. They enable each other, feeding off of their delusions, even going as far as to help each other groom children. You sick freaks should not be allowed within 200 feet of a fucking school. As for the adults who are aware of what happened, you are at fault too, as you knew what was happening and remained ignorant. We are deeply disappointed in your lack of compassion for the victims. Majority of the enablers have positions of power in the server, and you also knew what was happening. But because they refused to hop off of Emperor's fucking meat, they let him get away with it. Xplodin himself let him get away with it too, and needs to be held accountable for it.
This is to Xplodin Apple himself. We hope we are wrong about you and you heed our warning and take action against JMR Draws and find out why your moderators have allowed this freak to stay in your server. As someone who is unbiased and has not watched your videos for the most part, you have to be aware this is a huge problem and need to deal with this fast. This server is your server. Any wrongdoings that happened in this server are on you. From what I can tell, you make videos about PvZ and other games and topics that will drive an audience of mainly minor fans. Like said in the intro, you ignored the screenshots 2 minors sent you, one of them being the victim herself. This is a gross negligence of a YouTuber such as yourself, especially someone your size. You were supposed to create a fandom and protect your fandom. Tomcat was on your server when this happened, and it was you and your mod's duty to get rid of the pedophile in your server upon learning of this. Even if your server is 18+, which I don't believe it is, you shouldn't have a pedophile on your server. This is just common knowledge. You ignored the other minor that recently reached out to you. Again, another gross negligence on your part. I know deep down you hate JMR Draws. He has given no value to your career or your server. I know for a fact he's only on your server because of your mods. I'm not saying you should fire your mods or whatever, but you definitely need to reevaluate things and what your server has become. Your server has been nothing but straight drama because of these guys, mainly Emperor spearheading this. This server you own needs to be about you and your content, not a shit show that Emperor is the ringleader of. Impa, Lego, and even Boss Hunt actively defend Emperor from criticism and keep him in your server. Emperor is a narcissistic asshat that doesn't deserve your time of day or to be in your server. It is obvious your mods have abused their power to keep their buddy in your server. I think the only people that should be on your mod team is Boss Hunt and possibly Lego. Absolutely not Impa. Lego was groomed into drawing suggestive content like my boyfriend / Mickey Mimi was, in my opinion. I think Lego seems to be a great mod on your server and is an all-around good guy, but needs to reevaluate his friendships with this group. You'll still need to reprimand him and let him know this can't happen again. This is your server, not a mock friend server they can keep whoever they want in. This is a short message to Lego. Get out of there, dog. You're a funny and talented individual that can do better than this. I know you were 17 when you drew that extremely inappropriate picture of Bink's Ogre OC's fat tits. What you drew was basically censored porn, and I hope you recognize how negligent Bink was to request this of you. And from what I know of Bink, I assume he begged you to do that drawing. Please get better friends. Boss Hunt is a vital part of your server, Jack. I know he is. I'm pretty sure he went to your wedding. I think he is one of the only people on your active mod team that is an actual genuine fan of your work and deserves to be a mod. You need to give him a reality check to not let his bias affect your server and to take serious shit, well, seriously. This is a message to Boss Hunt. You need to leave that group. From my short time being in McMamie's old server, you were a genuinely nice guy that hung around a bunch of assholes. Emperor constantly talked down on you and treated you horribly. You do not deserve to be in this group nor roped into this. This is from my heart. You need to urge everyone to leave these gross people behind and start a new page in your book. They do not care about you and are not nice people. You have a lot to offer. Now on to Impa, who I think should absolutely leave. Impa does not give a shit about your YouTube, your server, or you, Jack. She's only there to have control over a server and manipulate things into her favor. She actively told people to change their opinions of Emperor and accept that he has changed, which he has not. She does not give a fuck about the health of your server or you and is a bad apple, pun intended, sitting in your moderation list. Get rid of her, dude. Just get rid of her. I have to give Impa a message since I gave one to the rest, which I just say, fuck you. All I have to say for Bink is he absolutely should not be a mod on your server because he's a fucking idiot in his own right. He sent a lot of porn to minors, some in which were him asking McMimi to reference it to make goon material when he was a minor. You probably should kick him. To you, Bink. Fuck you! Now, this part is for someone special. We learned about an individual named Jumpy Funkit, who was also a minor for a long time in this group. We think she is 18 now, but that is unrelated. We know about you, and we are concerned for you. We know you used to date Toxic. Hopefully you're not still dating him. We assume this is probably an abusive relationship, seeing all Toxic has done and how much of a piece of shit he is. We also think Emperor seems infatuated with you, which I hope he isn't. We are very concerned for your safety in this group and the fact Emperor let so many predators actively be around you when you were a minor. We want you to know that if you have concerns, questions, or want help from us, we are here for you. I, Sushimi Slimes, who is writing and narrating this part, know how scary this must be. I assume you have been told a different story. We are happy to have a talk with you. My Discord is at Sushimi Slimes and is probably in the description, but definitely in the script we linked below. Please, reach out to me and I will get a group chat with everyone else in this project and we will listen to you. If you do not wish to speak with us or only want to argue, do not contact us. We are only here to help, not to walk in circles. To the rest of the group, if you are not a predator and want to apologize to us and Tomcat, most importantly, be our guest if that helps your retribution and guides you into not being a horrible person. Again, we don't really give a fuck about y'all and are not going to argue.
If you're a minor and still in this group, please heed our warning and run as far as you can. These grotesque monsters will prey upon you and drain you until they can't use you anymore. If you're just on the server, please spread this video link and voice your outrage about what has happened on this server and the lack of care by your moderation. It is unfair that this boner-brained scumbag is still on your server. Thank you for watching this video. Make Captain Chemo great again.